Hi, I'm Graylight May. I'm 65 years old, and last season I got 61 solo victory royales in Fortnite, and that's despite being a terrible builder. So today I'm going to share with you my tips for how I do that. I love to play video games, and Fortnite is my favorite. I play it almost every day. I've been playing Fortnite since Chapter 1, Season 4, which is about 3.5 years, which is a long time. And last season was Chapter 2, Season 7, and it was my best season ever. I was so excited when I hit 50 solo victory royales that I stopped and I made this composite picture of the 50 screenshots just to commemorate it. But I went on and I won some more. I ended up with 61 wins, which is about 12% of the matches I play. And that's actually really good results. That puts me in the top 10th of the top percent of Fortnite players, and I'm really proud of that. So how does somebody like me get results like that? You can probably tell by looking at me. I don't have as good a reflexes as most of the players I'm playing against. I've already said I'm not a good builder. I'm really not. My general strategy I would describe as stealth, but you probably know you can't win Fortnite by just sneaking and hiding. There's a lot of things you have to do right to win a match. So I have 10 things that I've learned to do that I practice all the time when I play. And those are the 10 tips I'm going to share with you today. There are a lot of settings that you can set in Fortnite, and you're going to want to play with those over time, but here are the most important ones in my opinion. First of all, make sure that your matchmaking region is set to auto so you get the best connection that's available to you at the time. Set auto pickup weapons to on, and just below that is a relatively new feature called preferred item slots. And when you press the configure button, you get this window that allows you to set up automatic sorting of your preferred inventory, and we'll talk about that later in this video. I turn turbo building on, and then I play on PlayStation, so I use a configuration called Builder Pro that makes it easy to build and place things, at least as easy as possible. And the single most important setting in my mind is visualize sound effects, turn it on. Very important. Now you have the ability to set a marker on a map that you can then see in the physical world, and this is a very important part of the way I play the game. The marker is not just a visual cue about which direction to head, it helps me make decisions. So on the battle bus, I always jump when the marker is directly perpendicular to the bus. Also in the game, I look at the map to see where I'm going, and then I mark where I'm heading, and it will tell you the number of meters between you and the marker. And I make decisions about what kind of transportation I use to get to that spot. So if it's within, say, 600 meters, I know I can just run to it and get there. Of course, you're always looking around, but this helps keep you focused on where you're going. Tip number 3 is get to know some favorite landing spots. Now, a favorite landing spot is a quiet place where not many people go. It has consistently 2 or 3 chests, several ammo boxes, and hopefully a few extras like vehicles or an upgrade bench. You want these spots to be spread out across the island so you have a lot of options. These are my favorites. And as you learn these areas, you'll also learn areas to branch out from them, because when the circle starts to form, you're going to be traveling out of these spots into other nearby areas, and you get to learn those as well. I not only land in the same areas, I even run the same route through those areas unless there's another player there that I need to avoid. So on this simple little spot here, I start out in the alien area, pick up a few extra weapons. There's usually a chest under this tree, but there isn't in this particular match. But this second chest is here. Of course, you always try to use your shields as soon as you can so you're protected. And then I slide down this hill into this grove. It's one of my favorite places. It reliably has 2 to 3 chests up on those rocks, plus a lot of weapons and ammo in the surrounding bushes, which means it has great places to hide. I not only use this as a place to land, I come here often in the middle of the game. Once you've identified these favorite places, now you need to know how to get there as quickly and as safely as possible. A very important decision is which of your favorite places to go to, and that usually means they need to be far from the battle bus path. So I would pick for this path one of the 3 bottom choices. Getting there quickly requires you optimize your glide. So I don't know if you've seen this widget over here on the right, but it shows you dropping towards the little line, which is where your glider will automatically deploy. And optimal is to have that happen around 400 meters from your destination. That's how long it takes then for you to actually reach the ground after the automatic deployment. So here I've left myself a little bit of room. I want to look to see if these chests in the courtyard are there. They're not. So now I go back over here to a safe place. Now you start to pick up your weapons, and that's tip number 5, develop your favorite loadout. You have 5 slots in inventory, and one of those should be for your shields and one for your bandages and med kits. That leaves 3 slots for your favorite weapons, but they should use different ammo types and be good at different ranges. This configuration tool we saw earlier can really help you manage some of this automatically. So I have 2 slots to the right for shields and health, but my 3 weapons, I have my favorite assault rifle in the middle, shotguns to the right, and SMGs to the left. Auto arranging works pretty well as long as you have an empty slot in inventory, but when your inventory is full, you're going to have to start managing that yourself. So in this example here, I've picked up a burst assault rifle. It's in the right slot. Then I get 3 things that aren't even in my configuration, so it just sticks them anywhere it can for the moment. But if I come across one of the ones I have put in the configuration, it will move stuff around. So there's the shotgun, just went into its slot next to the assault rifle. And I have my med kit over where it belongs. So now I just start looking for better versions of these things. That's a better assault rifle. I had to manually switch that with my burst. I'm going to use this shield, and now the harpoon gun is back in my inventory, but it still doesn't really have a home based on my system. I see a big shield. Now, you know, small shields only take you up to 50%. If you want the next 50%, you have to use a big shield. So they're more valuable. Big shields are more valuable than small shields, and med kits are more valuable than bandages. Now, so here is a large shield. I'm going to pick that up and keep searching. This pistol is not very helpful to me, so now I get a sniper rifle, which is actually one of my favorite weapons, but I don't get it often enough to actually put it in my configuration. So I wait until I'm safe in a big bush here, and then I pull my inventory up and I manually rearrange the shotgun and the sniper rifle. That person just ran right past me in the bush because I'm wearing dark clothes. Which brings me to tip 6, move out of sight and out of earshot. What do I mean by out of earshot? Remember that setting, visualize sound effects? What that does is it shows you the sound in the world. So here is an example of how you see people's footsteps. It shows you not only that they're there, but where they are relative to you. So I saw him, he didn't see me because he didn't have visual sound effects on. If you crouch as you move, you do not create a visual sound effect. So when do you use that? Crouch near any other players, near dangerous animals. They can't hear you. They don't know you're there. Near buildings, under bridges. And you need to know that when you're crouching, you can't move as fast as when you're upright. So you have to have the time to be able to move in this fashion. The storm makes time management very important in this game. So like I said, if you've got 600 or less meters to your target, you can afford to just run there. If it's over 600, you're going to have to look for a vehicle. But here I'm just running. I'm obviously going to try to get all of the ammo and weapons and supplies that I can along the way. And I'm staying low. Part of being out of sight when you're running like this is try to go to the low parts of the map. Obviously, rivers, just like in real life, they tend to be low parts, but there are seams like this throughout the map that you can run in, and people are far less likely to see you. Now I'm going to be approaching this bridge, and I'm automatically, through instinct at this point, I'm going to start crouching when I get to the point where they could hear me. And if they're on the bridge, they will hear you if you just run underneath. And not only will they know you're there, they'll have the advantage on you because they'll be above you. When you get to your marker, then you need to start looking for a good place to hide that's inside the circle. So that's what I'm doing now, is I'm looking around for an opportunity to hide. Still looking for more ammo and things that are useful. I shoot this chicken and I can't even tell you why. I didn't need it. But here's what I'm really looking for, is this great bush right here. But sometimes you're going to have a long distance to go, and that's when you need to use tip number 7, learn to use vehicles and to build ramps. What are the vehicles that are most important? This is kind of in order. Cars and trucks and boats are the basics. You need to get good at those. If there's a flying vehicle in your season, you should learn how to use that. Then there are jump pads and rifts. They're sometimes in the game, sometimes not. It's helpful to know where the zip lines are. And shadow stones and peppers are things right now in the game that will make you faster. So here I am looking at the map and seeing where I need to go. And I could see that gorgeous gorge, which is where the big waterfall is in the center of the map, is heading towards the circle. That's the direction I need to go. So I get in the boat that I know where it is because I've used this boat many times, and I'm going to head to the waterfall. So boats just don't help you move quickly. Sometimes they're the safest way to get from one place to another, because when you go off this waterfall, if you hit the ground in the boat, you'll live, but if you hit it without the boat, you won't. I also use vehicles in situations where it's not just that I have a distance to go, but I have a dangerous patch of ground to move through to get there. So this is kind of late in the game, but I've decided that I really need to have a vehicle to get to my marker. So I'm going to go down to this gas station, and you know, vehicles now have fuel. In the old days they didn't, they just went forever, but now they have fuel. You always can get 100% full vehicle in the garage here at a gas station. So I'm going to pick up this truck, and I'm going to take it on a path very similar to the path I would run if I were on foot. That means I'm going to go for the low spots. I'm going to go behind obstacles. I'm going to try to minimize my exposure to the other players and their ability to shoot the vehicle. So I'm heading to a place that is on the far side of the new storm circle. And I've already decided that I want to get to the back of that area on the edge of the island, because I think that that's going to be a good place to be. I look for a place to stop where it's easy to exit the vehicle without being seen. Usually that would be near a large bush, but in this case I'm heading for this bluff on the edge of the island. Which brings me to the second part of this tip, which is building ramps. Now ramps are important. You use them to get into attics, to get at chests, to go onto roofs, to go up mountains and steep hills instead of around them, and even to hide in the end game. And that's the example I'm going to show you right here. I just got out of that truck, and now I'm going to carefully build a ramp up the side of the bluff. And what I'm checking to see here is I want to make sure that it's not visible over the ground, because I don't want anybody to know I'm over here. The only building I do in the end game is invisible building, because the other people that have made it to this point are much better builders than I am, so I don't even want to play their game. So that's tip 8. Learn to love hiding. Good hiding is a skill, and it can actually be a lot of fun. There's a setting called auto open doors that should be off by default, but if it's not, make sure you turn it off. Because doors are the best place to hide behind, I think, inside a building. Doors swing both ways. They swing away from the person that opened them, so you can move it to where you want it to. So here I'm going to go back out and kind of reset the door so it's in like I want it to be, and hide behind it again, and I'm going to get a second person in a row hiding in the same place. This wouldn't work at all if you had auto open doors on. But in general, I prefer to not hide in buildings. I want to be outside. In the old days, these bushes are what I had to hide in. Now bots can actually see you in these bushes. The good news is they don't shoot very well, but they can see right through these bushes. But the big bushes that were added in Chapter 2, the bots can't see you in and people can't see you in. And when you get close to the edge and you aim your weapon, it kind of parts the bush and lets you see through it. They still can't see you when you're doing this. You're as invisible as you ever were. Cornfields work a lot like these bushes, so they're another great place to hide. Tip number 9 is only pick fights you're sure you'll win. And this whole video is about playing to win. I have many matches when I'm playing to get challenges, and in those, I will pick fights all the time. But if I really want to win a game, this is what I do. So how do you know a fight you're sure to win? Well, here's an example where you know somebody's in a bush and you're behind them and you eliminate them. Now, this happens more often than you would suspect when you play my strategy, because you're coming from a place they don't expect you, you're creeping, and you sneak up on them. But a far more common occurrence is this. You're in your hiding place, often in a bush or a cornfield, and you sit and you watch a firefight play out between other players. And I mean, I keep my weapon trained on them. I'm ready. If they decide to turn and hide in the place I'm hiding in, I need to be prepared. But I just let these things play out. What I'm doing is I'm playing the odds. I know that the more matches I make it into the final 4, 3, 2 players, the better my chances are that I'm going to get a victory royale. It's just playing the odds. For me, it's all about making it to the end game, and that's tip number 10, develop and practice an end game strategy. So I have one, and I'll share my tactics with you. Let the storm have your back, go where you're not expected, run along the storm, move while others fight, and don't engage until you must. So here's these one at a time. First, let the storm have your back. When you stay to the edge of the circle and the storm is behind you, you can hide behind things like rocks and trees, and they only block you from the front and the storm is behind you. You have many more options of where to hide. Next, be where they don't expect you to be, and I've already shown you an example of that where I built this ramp up on a bluff at the edge of the island. They don't expect me to be there. This is a particular example of a general principle, which is when a new storm circle forms, everybody that's still alive has to converge on that circle, and they're coming from different parts of the map. And the question is, where are they least likely to be coming from? In this particular example, I'm going to mark this place because I think that's the safest place. Now that I know where I want to go, the question is, what's the safest way to get there? And the answer to that is run along the storm. I do this all the time, and I think it works because everybody that's still in the game is looking to the center of the circle to see what's going on. They're not looking behind them. They're not looking to the side of them. They're not looking at the storm. So this works for me over and over again. I do this when I have relatively long distances to cover. The best time to move is pretty self-explanatory. If there's a couple people left and they're fighting each other, that's the best time to move. And finally, don't engage until you must. Patience really pays off in the end game. I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting here underneath some wonderful edifice somebody has built, waiting for them to have to move or come down, and then that's my opportunity and I take it. Of course, sometimes I chop the bottom out from under them as well. And then there are the times that I wait behind my rock or tree until they turn their back on me, and then I eliminate them. But of course, the last thing I always do is I dance. And I do like to save a screenshot. So there you have it, 10 tips for how to win in Fortnite. I plan on doing some tutorials that kind of expand on a few of those points, and in particular point 10 or tip 10 about the end game, because really how you play the end game is a strategy all by itself. And I'll be sharing those with you. But one thing I wanted to mention before I wrap up here is that even like in my case, where I win 12% of the matches right now that I play, that's still true that 9 out of 10 games I play, I lose. And you know what? It's still a lot of fun. I mean, the reason why we play games is because we have fun, not because we're winning or losing. But if you have a strategy and you work at it, it's like anything you practice, you will get better at it and you will get better results. But in the meantime, just enjoy yourself. Fortnite is so much fun. I love it. That's why I keep coming back and playing it every day. I have lots of other Fortnite tutorials planned. If you're interested, please subscribe to my channel.